Hi, this is Sarah from Vampire and Other Paranormal Things Queen, and today I will be reviewing Gillian Flynn's novels. So the first novel that I will be talking about is Gone Girl, which is the first Gillian Flynn novel that I read. And it's Gillian Flynn's most critically acclaimed novel. I remember that I used to log on to Goodreads and this novel would literally be everywhere. And I think it definitely deserves all the attention that it's gotten because it's an amazing novel and I love it. It's about Amy and Nick Doone, who are celebrating their 5-year anniversary, and on the day of their anniversary, Amy goes missing, and about after a week, Nick begins to fall under more suspicion that he definitely had something to do with her disappearance. And, so, Gone Girl is popular for having the big twist, and it is a big twist, but throughout the novel, you're kind of guessing what the big twist is going to be. But Gillian Flynn has this way of like throwing in tiny twists that make you begin to question if you know what the big twist is or not. And then after the big twist, there are bigger twists, and then death. Not death. Just kidding. Death to me. I was dying. Well, there is death for some characters, but there's just me flailing on the ground dying because of Nick and Amy, and they're like the Bonnie and Clyde of literature for me. Like, I feel like Nick and Amy just really define a psychotic relationship. And is it wrong that I love it? Like, I love Amy and Nick Doone and all of their crazy happenings. So, there's the opening paragraphs in Gone Girl, which I feel like really cement the novel. And I'm going to read them to you. So, yeah. You can skip over this part if you want, but Nick Doone, the day of. When I think of my wife, I always think of her head, the shape of it to begin with, the very first time I saw her. It was the back of the head I saw, and there was something lovely about it, the angles of it, like a shiny hard corn kernel or a riverbed fossil. She had what the Victorians would call a finely shaped head. You could imagine the skull quite easily. I'd know her head anywhere. And what's inside it? I think of that too. Her mind, her brain, all those coils, and her thoughts shuttling through those coils like fast, frantic centipedes. Like a child, I picture opening her skull, unspooling her brain and sifting through it. Trying to catch and pin down her thoughts. What are you thinking, Amy? The question I've asked most often during our marriage. If not out loud, if not to the person who could answer. I suppose these questions storm cloud over every marriage. What are you thinking? How are you feeling? Who are you? What have we done to each other? What will we do? And those last two questions, that pretty much describes the past, present, and future of Gone Girl. Yeah, just 5 stars. And then the next book that I read was Dark Places. Keep in mind that I read these books at like the end of 2014, but I still have a very good memory of what happened in them because they all left really big impacts on me in some way. And Dark Places is about Libby Day, who is the surviving member of the Day family massacre, besides her brother, who is convicted of the slaughter. And basically, Libby has been living off of government checks and her own connings of her trying to make money off of what happened to her, and eventually, time and people begin to forget about Libby Day, and Libby Day is struggling to survive, and then one day, a guy contacts her about a convention, and she goes to speak thinking easy, quick money, but it turns out that it is a serial killer / murderer worshipping convention of sorts, and it's where people talk about killers, and they discuss cases, and they figure out if they did it or not. And basically, Libby begins to realize that Ben may or may not have had more to do with the killings of her family. And it's great. This is a very, very dark novel. It's actually darker than Gone Girl, but it's pretty amazing, and I feel like Dark Places definitely, it's a shocker. There's satanic rituals, which I feel like I haven't read a lot about, especially in recent years, surprisingly, but it kind of left me a little jarred. It was very graphic, and then it was like satanic ritual, and then slaughter, and then plot twist, another plot twist, another plot twist, book was over, and I'm just kind of like, huh. dying. But yeah, it's a pretty amazing novel. I highly recommend it. It's another 5-star read for me. Yeah. The Dark Places. It's just, and it's gonna be a movie, which I'm so excited about. Like, I'm opening night tickets. I'm getting that, and I'm going. I can't wait. The last novel that I read was Gillian Flynn's debut novel, Sharp Objects, and it is so tiny. It is about Camille Preaker, who was recently institutionalized for sharp objects. But huge trigger warning because she self-mutilates, but her form of self-mutilation is very odd. She, instead of cutting herself, writes words into her body, which is it's very hard to read about, and it's probably why Sharp Objects took me about 3 weeks to read, because it left me very uncomfortable and emotionally just, it gave me the creepy crawlies because it was such a hard thing to read about. But basically, Camille Preaker is a journalist, and her boss is sending her back to her hometown to investigate a series of very odd teenage killings of young girls. And basically, Camille is more connected than she would have thought. So yeah, Sharp Objects is a very gritty, dark, and unsettling novel, but Gillian Flynn, she's pretty well known for this as being popular for really breaking into the scene as writing the first hardcore female villains. Like, Gillian Flynn can write some gritty, gross female psychopaths, and Sharp Objects really, like, digs into that. Like, you can feel the... Just thinking about it kind of sets me off on edge. This novel is very... I think this is the harder of her novels, and I wouldn't suggest this for squeamish people, because I'm not squeamish, but it had me feeling not dirty, but feeling very uncomfortable in a lot of scenes. So, Gillian Flynn, highly, highly recommended. I love her books. Let me know down below if you've read any or if you're planning to read any of these novels. So, subscribe and like, comment, bye!